Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ercan Polat. I'm a senior Sitecore developer, and in this video I'm going to share my opinion. So it's not going to be technical video, and we are going to talk about one important convention, and we are going to talk about 4 different tools. And first of all, we will talk what is this tool and why should you learn this tool. And I will provide some really nice resources. Again, if you're a Sitecore developer, probably you already know this. It's not something new, but I want to reiterate that it's very important, and you will have a different view after watching this video. So the first one is most important in my opinion is Sitecore Helix. Then the second one is Sitecore SXE. And we will talk about JavaScript services, and we will talk about Sitecore Docker, and at the last we are going to talk about Azure. Let's start with Sitecore Helix. Sitecore came up with around like 3 years ago with recommended practice and conventions. So it gives us examples how should we implement Sitecore architecture, and it starts with Visual Studio, explains modular architecture. It gives examples of template names, configurations, deployments, a proper way to implement a Sitecore application. And a few weeks ago, I think they announced Helix 2.0. So this is Helix 2.0. And why is that important? Because if you really follow Helix architecture, you will decrease the cost of maintenance. That's the most important. You will actually create a common terminology. That means, like, for example, you hire a new Sitecore developer who knows Helix. He will be very familiar, and he can just jump in to the project and start to be productive. These are the benefits, but I want to reiterate one thing. It's based on modular architecture and managed dependencies. So just following this instructions will not be enough. So you have to really understand how you implement the dependency in code and how you actually can manage this as well in the Sitecore structure, under the templates, under the renderings, or so that's very important. This modular architecture actually comes from different concept. You can download this book, find, buy, or purchase this from Amazon, and go to the chapter 28, and you will see there are 6 principles. So in order to really master Helix, you should really master these 6 principles, because these are the package principles for a modular architecture where you can control the dependencies. 3 of them are package cohesion, and 3 of them are coupling. But this subject is not very simple. In order to really master dependencies, modular architecture, actually, in my opinion, you should start with solid. So understand solid, implement solid, and go to next step, package principles, and then read these documentations and read this book, especially chapter 28, and to make sure to implement. You may say, oh, my project, we don't really care about Helix. Yes, right now you don't care, but if you are going to stay as a Sitecore developer, you will eventually have to implement Helix, because companies, projects are moving. If then either it's a new implementation, they require Helix, or sometimes refactoring to Helix, or redesign. So Helix is a must, and you should really learn in a proper way. Okay, and that's, in my opinion, very important. And I know it from myself. I worked in projects that current project doesn't really use Helix, but I'm mastering Helix because I know that this is very important. The second tool is SXA. Sitecore implemented SXA several years ago. This is the main documentation, and actually this explains SXA is amazing because it allows front-end developers and backend developers like Sitecore developers, even content authors work on the same project parallel. That's really a big advantage. Also, it's Helix based implementation, and also and there are many other benefits. There are a bunch of drag and drop components. It's a responsive build, and companies are moving towards SXA. So it's a good tool to learn. And documentation you can find here, but I want to show a few things. The first thing, Sitecore Habitat Home Platform. Make sure to download this locally because this gives you a nice example, SXA, and it's also an example of Helix. So you can actually work on this, understand, and it provides you a Visual Studio solution and nice demo. And here is my local habitat home. So you can see this is a SXA project. And I want to just show one thing, actually a few things. One, you can see the template as a project, foundation, and future. So yes, these are the folders, but you have to really understand how dependency works. So having the folders is just a simple one, right? So you should make sure that to understand Helix in order to create the correct dependencies. And you can see the same structure here under media, project, foundation, and features. And if you go to layout, same structure. So this is a really nice tool. And I want to show you one more thing. This is Experience Editor. So this is the section for SXA tools, toolbox. And you can see it has maps, it has media, navigation. This drag and drop you can create without implementing any code functionality. It's amazing. And the beauty of this is you can actually extend the built-in functionality, or you can create your custom components. Nice website, nice examples. Okay, so in my opinion, Sitecore Helix and Sitecore SXA is a must that every Sitecore developer should learn, even though they're not working currently on the project. And the third one, I would say Sitecore Azure, and then these are the optional, at least get some experience like how this works and how Docker works. I do have experience myself with Helix, XXA, Docker, and Azure. The only missing is right now is JavaScript services, which is on my plate. So let's go to the third one, JavaScript services. Okay, this is also fairly new, around 2 years, and it's amazing. Why? Because you can implement the front end of the Sitecore site without having actually a local instance, without having even any instance, or you don't need Sitecore templates. So you design, you implement the front end, and JSS framework generates all the required templates. That's nice. But if you want, you can start with Sitecore templates and then work from there, the front end. So that's the one advantage, but it's truly cross-platform. Any platform, any operating system that actually supports server-side JavaScript, you can deploy. It's scalable, it's easy deployment, it provides workflow, and the good thing is, another thing is that good is it's actually supports Sitecore Experience Editor. So you are not losing the functionality. It supports workflow, it supports preview, it supports analytics. So basically, anything that you can do with Sitecore, you can do this with plus additional features. Right now, this framework supports the most important three JavaScript libraries, Vue, React, and Angular. But it doesn't mean you cannot use other libraries as well. So I will try later, but I just watched one video. It's very simple to have a Hello World application running. Okay, so next I want to just mention this one. This is a release note. So right now JSS JavaScript services, and this also called headless implementation, supports 9.3. And if you go a little bit back, you can see that actually Sitecore JSS start to implement support 9.0. So fairly new, around 2 years. But again, it's getting very popular. It provides a lot of advantages, and as a Sitecore developer, you should understand and at least experience how this works. This is GitHub. You can download it, and as I said, it supports React, Vue, and Angular. And in my opinion, or my experience, I know that these are the three JavaScript libraries that are most used for front end. But for example, they use just for experimental demonstrates React Native, and mostly I think React Native is used for mobile. And you can probably customize for different JavaScript libraries as well. So I don't have experience right now, but that will be my next target. So let's go back. So we did talk about Helix. That's the most important, and it's not just having layers. You have to you have to understand the modular architecture and dependency in the code and as well in the templates. SXA, nice tool, very fast implementation of sites, lot of reusable components, supports responsive design, must have. This you may work in the future, not even if you don't work right now, get the understanding and make some hello world understand and how it works. So Docker, honestly, each time I say it's amazing, it's really amazing. So a little bit overview. Usually when you need a new environment, previously you were using virtual machines, and virtual machines has the operating system itself installed, and maintaining is difficult. It needs a lot of resources. It's huge, but Docker solves the problems. So Docker creates images. From the images it creates containers, and the containers are using the same CPU, same resources of your machine, and the sites are very small. Especially with Linux, you can have a 2 megabyte, a really small Linux server running on a Docker, and then you can do whatever you want to do. And Docker is getting very popular in Sitecore because you can set up a local environment as many as you want very fast, and you can, if you don't need, you can delete it. It's easy to actually deploy to Azure. It's easy to deploy to QA staging and production, and it's evolving. And companies are adopting this. Companies are working. I think in the near future it will be almost a must. I did get some experience. I'm working on it. But before even you start going to Sitecore, go to this site, download it. Once you download it, you should have it here. Understand to switch from Linux and Windows containers. Understand what's that you can actually download the images to locally, or you can upload this to Docker Hub, which I did experiment. So understand what's images, what's containers, how to run containers, and then next step will be go to Sitecore Docker. I'm going to show one thing that here, this are the images for Sitecore 9.3. I did install it locally, and you do it just one time. But from here, you can run a container. So once you understand this, you can switch to this Docker images Sitecore. Every image that Sitecore supports is here. As a default, when you run this build, again, this is subject is this video is not about how to use it, just give an idea. So I'm kind of skipping very quick. But if you run as a default, you get the latest version. So I did run the build and I did get the 9.3. But if you want a different version of Sitecore, you can update this file, text section, and specify the version, and you will get the versions that you update. So you start from here for Sitecore. But the documentation is not very simple to follow, but I do have a very nice resource for you, and it's fairly new. So Dialing Young, just like 11 days ago, he did record this video, and it explains exactly what needs to be done to run Docker images, Sitecore Docker images. So if you follow this, that's a starting point. If you want to get the next step, follow his second video. You can understand how to use Visual Studio solution to push code to your Docker images. So there are little more work because it's Docker images or containers are working differently than installed locally, but it's nice. So you started, you get the images, you install this locally, you follow these videos. There are two more important or nice blocks that I want to show you. This block is from Viet Hong, he is MVP, and I did follow to install, actually not install, run Sitecore 9.3 as Docker images. I started from here, and once I understood this, I went to the second block, and I actually run this demo habit at home as a container. And let's go back to our Sitecore habit at home platform. You can actually download and install this locally, but it also allows you to run this example in containers. So it's nice. Let me see. Yeah, it doesn't explain here, but yeah, following the documentation is not easy, but if you follow this documentation, it's really easy to set up. There was one thing that I want to show you. Yeah, so if you build like this, deployment target Docker build, this habitat actually runs a container for you. It's nice. So Docker, again, it is very nice technology. The Windows sizes, container sizes are shrinking. It gets more popular. I think many companies are adapting Docker for Sitecore, and it will be probably widely used in the future. The last technology that I want to talk is Sitecore Azure, because companies actually deploying Sitecore to Azure. As a Sitecore developer, yes, we are not DevOps. We don't have to understand the entire Azure functionality because it's huge, and you can get certification in different areas, architecting, DevOps, and but as a Sitecore developer, we should have at least the understanding what the fundamentals. So you may not need it right now, but I guarantee if you stay as a Sitecore developer, you have to work with Azure. So understand the fundamentals and then understand how Sitecore is downloaded, because you will need to work on this. I have a little bit experience setting up Sitecore. I do also record a few videos about Azure, but you can find the documentation. And this technology is better to practice right now than when you need it. You have this information and knowledge for this. I think I'm done. If I did really speak too fast, you can slow down the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you like it, please subscribe, share the video, and have a nice day. Bye.